Hair, like the skin, depends on internal nutrients for its health. That means eating cysteine is way more important and a way better option for taking care of your golden locks than applying cysteine or keratin directly to your hair. Once the hair is out of the head, it's like your fingernails. It's basically dead. Not to say that there's nothing that can be done with the hair once it leaves the scalp. Hair is a very flexible material. It's stretchy. It's a kind of stretchy biological fiber, and hair can absorb certain things, at least on the hair surface. This is how hair conditioners work. Hair conditioners actually have a kind of magnetic property, and they can magnetically attach themselves to the surface of your hair shaft, and that's what accounts for that kind of smooth feeling that a hair conditioner will leave on your hair. It doesn't do anything to the hair from a chemical standpoint. It's more of a mechanical kind of thing. It coats the hair shaft magnetically. That's how a hair conditioner works. So you can do certain things to hair. It's not like you can't do anything. But if your hair is brittle or if your hair is dry, you're probably dealing with an internal issue more than you're dealing with a topical hair issue. Now, keratin, the cysteine-rich protein that gives hair and skin and nails its hardness, keratin is really interesting stuff. The skin is composed of layers. You've got a very bottom layer. That's called your dermis. And for the most part, skincare products aren't really going to address this bottom layer. But the top layer, the epidermis, epi means on top of, this epidermis area, it too is composed of layers. And there are things that you can do to the epidermis using topical strategies. Now, in order to get to that area, to get to the areas where you can really do something to the skin, you got to get through the surface, the very tippy-top surface of the skin. And this very tippy-top surface of the skin, believe it or not, is about as thin as 1/10 of a piece of paper. This very tippy top of the skin is what holds everything in place. It keeps the water in the skin. It keeps water from evaporating out. It keeps water from getting in. It keeps skincare products from getting in. This very, very thin layer, about 1/10 as thin as a piece of paper. It's largely composed of our hard protein keratin. In fact, technically, skin cells are actually called keratinocytes because skin cells make keratin. Cyte, C-Y-T-E, is the Latin designation for cell, and a keratinocyte is quite literally a keratin-making cells. So skin cells are born in the bottom layer of the skin, the bottom layer of the epidermis, and they gradually rise up to the top, becoming more and more filled with keratin. And by the time a skin cell has made it from the bottom layer to the top layer, it's essentially a dead keratin-filled bag. It's a little speck of hard keratin. And you multiply this little speck of hard keratin millions, maybe even billions of times, and you get this surface, this thin, super microscopic thin surface that gives the body, that keeps the body in place, really, that gives the skin a certain hardness and keeps everything intact underneath the skin. These little specks of keratin are what keep our entire body in place. If you didn't have these little specks of keratin, we would dissolve into a puddle, literally. How cool is that? The entire body is held in place by little specks of keratin that form a layer that's about as thin as 1/10 of a piece of paper, 1/10 of a piece of paper. By the way, when the keratinocyte reaches the very top of the skin, it's not called a keratinocyte any longer. It's called a corneocyte, which means a hard cell, and thus the term, the stratum corneum, which means the hard layer. That's the technical name for the tippy top layer of the skin, which is directly exposed to the environment. Stratum corneum is Latin for hard layer, and it gets its name from the fact that it's made up of corneocytes, hard cells. Many skin diseases, acne, eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis, these are all caused by defects in the process of keratinocytes moving upwards and becoming corneocytes. This movement of cells from the lower layer to the upper layer, from the keratinocyte level to the corneocyte level, is really, really very tightly regulated and very tightly controlled. If there's any defects in the structure of the skin cells, if you have any defects in the outside membrane of a skin cell, or if you have any inflammation locally in the skin, this process, this movement of a keratinocyte, this morphing of a keratinocyte into a corneocyte is not going to occur correctly, and we will end up with skin diseases. This is where the vast majority of skin diseases take place, is in the movement or the morphing of a skin cell into a hard, dead corneocyte. For example, if skin cell chemistry is not proceeding correctly, if there's inflammation in the skin, maybe perhaps from eating the wrong kinds of foods or from nutritional deficiencies, suffocation, local lack of oxygen can do it. If you have any kind of problems in the skin cells are not going to be able to do their work effectively, and all kinds of problems can arise. For example, skin cells can make too much keratin. They'll basically overproduce the stuff. Remember, all disease is cell disease, and this is true about the skin as it's true about any other part of the body. All skin disease is skin cell disease. That means acne is a skin cell disease. That means psoriasis is a skin cell disease. That means eczema, a skin cell disease. Even something like dry skin, which almost everybody has, is a skin cell health issue. One of the biggest problems, one of the most likely things to go wrong when skin cells are disrupted, or the growth and the movement of skin cells are disrupted, is they're going to make too much keratin, and you can end up with these little hard bumps on the skin. That's called keratoses. If you're a skincare therapist, you'll probably call it keratoses pylorus. That's just a fancy way of saying you got too much keratin. Sometimes you'll get little bumps on the face. Women, this especially happens to women as they get older. Those are called milia. And milia and keratoses, these are all medical jargon, medical words for a keratin abnormality. Skin cells are making too much keratin. Keratinocytes, skin cells, are cranking out too much of this protein. This is also a major component of acne. And it's a major problem with the formation of pimples, a major problem with the formation of zits. Remember, all illness is cell illness. All disease is cell disease. So if you got milia, you got keratoses, you got pimples, you got rashes, you have a skin cell issue, a keratinocyte issue. So what do? Well, skin cells, like all cells, are very dependent on fats and fatty vitamins. Skin cells know what to do by talking to each other, and they talk to each other at the level of their membrane. That's that coating, that covering on top of cells. If a skin cell is like an M&M, the membrane is like the candy coating on top of the M&M, and skin cells, like all cells, talk to each other. They communicate to each other at the level of their candy coating, at the level of their membrane. This membrane is largely composed of fats and fatty vitamins, and that's why vitamin A, essential fatty acids, vitamin E, vitamin D are so important for the control and the stabilization of the growth, the movement of skin cells. All right, we'll continue. We come back from our break and take your phone calls as well. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Brightside. We'll be back after this.
Did you know that organic sulfur can cleanse and defend your body against the poisons we're exposed to each day? Organic sulfur crystals from sulfurdefense.com help by forcing oxygen and nutrition into your cells while eliminating heavy metals, contaminants, and damaging radiation. Defend yourself and family from toxic assault with one of the most critical and essential minerals available today. Order online at sulfurdefense.com. That's sulfurdefense.com, or call 800-593-6273.
Please pay attention, folks. AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com is a Christian, veteran-owned wholesale preparedness company. Our mission is to get the Word of God out to all those in need of a Bible and who cannot afford one. We also provide great-tasting freeze-dried food from only 50 cents per serving, GMO-free food, over 1,000 preparedness items. Plus, for a limited time, type in the word Genesis at checkout and get a free King James Bible with every purchase. That's AmericanSurvivalWholesale.com.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, listen carefully. Sweeping changes to IRS policies will help more people than ever eliminate their tax debts once and for all. And now, thanks to Dan Pilla, you can get the tax help you need to end your tax nightmare.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. I've helped thousands of people reduce or eliminate tax debts they couldn't pay. And after more than 30 years of experience dealing with the IRS, I can tell you there's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. With the IRS's new policies, it's easier than ever to put your tax debt behind you once and for all. Call now at 800-346-6829 to learn how I can help you. You know your IRS debt will not go away by itself, but you don't have to live in fear anymore. Call 800-346-6829. Learn how I can help you eliminate wage and bank levies, release tax liens, and negotiate a settlement settlement with the IRS that will put your tax nightmare behind you forever. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, taxhelponline.com. That's taxhelponline.com.
This alert just came in. This special announcement is for business owners and leaders of organizations who've been waiting for the right time to build. General Steel has made it impossible to wait any longer with rock-bottom prices that could save you thousands. That's right. General Steel, America's leader in pre-engineered structures, is offering buildings at prices you will never see again. Don't miss these prices. A 50 by 100 for under $30,000. You heard right. That's 5,000 square feet under $30,000. Manufacturers, if you need a larger building, try a 100 by 100 commercial building for $129,000. You can't afford to rent with these prices. Imagine a 70 by 100 foot church building for under $69,000. With the economy improving and interest rates still at historic lows, you can't afford to wait. So call 866-91-STEEL. Lock in your price now. Take delivery in spring. 866-91-STEEL. That's 866-917-8335.
Curious about what comes next? Next is the feeling of vulnerability you get after you arrive home to discover your house has been ransacked by burglars. Fool the bad guys with a new improved fake TV. You asked for it, we listened, and we made our new fake TV 3 times brighter than our previous model. The brightness of our new fake TV is equivalent to a 40-inch TV. It simulates the color and motion of a real TV while you're away from home. And when burglars think someone is home watching television, they're likely to pass your house and move on to an easier target. The new, brighter fake TV is only $39.95 and includes free shipping. Go to faketv.com or call 1-877-5-FAKE-TV. That's 877-532-5388. Or go to faketv.com. Fake TV, the burglar deterrent.
Great news, pure water lovers. BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com has a special discount offer for all GCN listeners. You can't do better than a Big Berkey for economy. For only 1.7 cents a gallon, a single set of filters can last for 5 to 10 years. There's none better than a Big Berkey for emergency preparedness as a backup water source. And you just can't beat a Big Berkey to remove dangerous chlorine, all types of fluoride, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, parasites, and unhealthy byproducts from municipal water. Berkey water filter systems are even powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. For the gold standard in water filters, get a Big Berkey at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. And all GCN listeners get 5% off all ceramic filter systems. For details, call 1-877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
Independently leading the way for the nation. Compelling talk for every political persuasion. We are GCN.
And welcome back to the Brightside. I am Pharmacist Ben. We're here 8 to 9 Pacific, 10 to 11 Central Time, and 24/7 on our archive page at brightsideben.com. You'll find a shopping cart as well as a Join the Team link that you can click on if you want to start a longevity business and make some money selling some longevity products. Of course, you can always call the Brightside Ben phone team at 866-735-2470. Our number today on the Bright Side, our number every day on the Bright Side is 855-660-4261. We do have a line open for you. Tomorrow we'll continue talking about skin health and nutrients that you can use for skin health, all as it regards the outside coating of a keratinocyte, a skin cell that makes keratin. Especially involves fats and fatty vitamins. If you have tiny bumps on the skin, those little milia, keratoses, acne, eczema, psoriasis, any kind of skincare problem, really, you want to focus on fats, fatty vitamins first and foremost. Of course, that also implies that you want to focus on fat absorption. Fat malabsorption syndrome affects millions of Americans. We'll continue this discussion tomorrow as we continue talking about peptides and skincare and proteins and amino acids on the Bright Side. 855-660-4261 is our number. Let's go to Minnesota and say hello to Teresa. Welcome to the Bright Side, Teresa.
Hi, Ben. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay,
what's going on?
I have a couple questions. My first question is pertains to a man who was previously on. He was addicted to OxyContin.
Okay.
And his doctor had put him on something called, well, I'm going to spell it because I don't think I can pronounce it, but it's Bupreno.
Bupropion.
You got it.
That's Wellbutrin. That's a famous